Servants of the Emperor, Briggso here, and in this video I'm going over another Ogryn build in Warhammer 40k Darktide. Before we jump into this video, I just want to say a massive thank you to Choco B, who inspired me to make this build off the back of the Karnak Twins hard mode build that he made. This build is a little bit different as it's defensive rather than offensive, but we do still have quite a lot of offensive capabilities in here so we can tear through hordes. Also, before we jump into this video, if I could ask you to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel, it would really mean the world to me. Like I said in a previous video, I'm going to do this in the old-fashioned style that I used to, so I'm going to swap over to the narrator version of myself and walk through this build with you. As I said before, we're looking to play the role of defense, so we're going to be using the Slab shield. Sitting there with your shield up all the time is pretty boring though, so we're going to take advantage of the Slab shield's heavy attacks so that we can dish out some big boy damage. We're going to take a lot of the talents that make heavy melee attacks even deadlier, as you'll see, but I do want to point out that there is a small learning curve with this build. I'm a fairly aggressive player most of the time, but knowing when to take a backseat and let your team focus on threats is a valuable asset to this build. That being said, we're still more than capable of taking on most things that the game can throw at us, but just keep in mind that you're not going to be the one taking out a group of 5 crushers, just so we're clear. With that out of the way though, let's get into the talent tree. So first up, we take 3 talents that help us regain and replenish toughness, being Linchpin, Smash 'em, and the best defense. Linchpin increases the toughness we recover by 50% when we're in coherency, and both Smash 'em and the best defense give us 25% toughness whenever we hit a single or multiple enemies with a heavy melee attack. While we're at the top of the tree, we also take Curios, which provides our next attack 2.5% more damage for each enemy we hit with a heavy melee attack. This is very useful as the shield is very big and hits into a lot of enemies when we use our heavy melee attacks. While we're here, we also take Heavyweight so we can go toe to toe with our Ogryn brothers that decided to listen to too much questionable music. Because tonight will be the night that We then take a plus 25% toughness boost before picking up our Blitz ability, which is Big Friendly Rock. BFR acts as our long-ranged option in this build and helps us take out mutants and gunners very efficiently. We then pick up Slam, which gives us plus 25% impact to our melee attacks, which helps us to send Poxwalkers flying and help stagger elites like Maulers and Crushers. After this, we pick up another plus 15% toughness boost before grabbing our combat ability of choice, which is going to be Indomitable. Indomitable lets us run through a group of enemies and then applies a plus 25% attack speed buff and grants us plus 25% movement speed for 5 seconds. 5 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but we can make 4 heavy attacks in this time, which helps us with other talents that we're taking later. We're also pairing Indomitable with Stomping Boots and Pulverize, which means that we gain plus 10% toughness and apply 5 bleed stacks onto our enemies when we hit them. From there, we take another 5% rending boost and then take Batter, which applies 4 bleed stacks onto our enemies whenever we hit them with a heavy melee attack. Batter is one of the key talents that we need to turn our shield into an offensive beast, and the more bleed stacks we apply to something, the more damage it will take over time. So if we hit into a bulky elite a few times, it means that we can block its attacks while continuing to damage it from bleed stacks. Moving on, we then take a plus 10% heavy melee damage boost and then grab Bonebreaker's Aura, which gives us and our allies another plus 10% heavy melee damage boost, which really helps us bring the pain with our shield. After this, we take a plus 5% melee damage boost and a plus 15 toughness boost before heading down to the middle tree and taking Attention Seeker. Attention Seeker allows us to take the aggro of problematic threats on the field whenever we push or block them. Blocking ranged attacks also taunts enemies, which is very effective for taking the aggro of gunners so your team can take them out. The next talent we take is Payback Time, which gives us a 20% damage boost when we are hit by a melee attack, and this activates more often than you think when we're plowing through a horde. We then move over to the left talent tree to pick up Delight in Destruction, and you know how I said that we now apply bleed stacks to our enemies when we hit them with a heavy melee attack? How about we put some icing on that cake by gaining an insane plus 60% toughness damage resistance as well? That's right, Delight in Destruction gives us a plus 10% toughness damage resistance for each enemy around us that is bleeding, and it stacks 6 times, which helps us when we get prodded and poked by enemies while bashing our way through a horde. We then take Too Stubborn to Die, which gives us plus 100% toughness replenishment when our health is below 25%, which is nice as we're prioritizing toughness over health in this build. After this, we take No Stopping Me as it makes our heavy melee attacks become uninterruptible, which helps us to keep our momentum of heavy swings flowing while we're staring down the face of a horde. Moving down the tree further, we then take a plus 10% toughness damage reduction, Implacable, which gives us a plus 15% damage reduction while charging our heavy attacks, and then another plus 5% heavy melee attack boost. We then move down to the keystone from this tree, which is Heavy Hitter, which gives us plus 5% damage when we land a heavy attack for 7.5 seconds, and this can stack 5 times. We also grab all of its keystone modifiers, which are Just Getting Started, Unstoppable, and Brutish Momentum. just getting started and unstoppable give us a plus 10% attack speed and increase the toughness we replenish from melee kills by 10% when we're at 5 stacks of heavy hitter. And brutish momentum refreshes heavy hitter's duration when we hit something with a light attack. Something I have been playing around with though is dropping brutish momentum and getting reloaded and ready, and you'll see why that is when we come on to the ranged weapon. Speaking of weapons, I'll go through the melee weapon, which is obviously the Aurochs Mark II Battle Maul and Mark III Slab Shield, and I pair it with the Skull Crusher and Thunderstrike blessings. These blessings give us a maximum of 40% damage and 40% more impact when we stagger our enemies, which works well as we've built into bashing things around with our heavy attacks. Some good perks for this shield are block efficiency and a stamina bonus, as this will help us defend for longer and soak up more damage. For our ranged weapon of choice, we're using what I call the Ogryn's Revolver, which is the Lorenz Mark V kickback, and man do I love this thing. This thing can take down most enemies very efficiently if we get close, but the main thing that I like about it is that it staggers enemies very easily. For the blessings on this weapon, you actually have a couple of choices here depending on your playstyle. One blessing you should put on here for sure is Full Bore, which gives us a plus 18 to 30% power buff when every shot hits the same target. This is particularly useful for staggering crushers and can be used to do some fairly decent damage to monstrosities. For the second blessing you have some choices. I normally go for Surgical, as getting a crit with Full Bore active makes this thing do some hefty damage. But you could also pick Blaze Away if you plan to spam this thing to high heaven. At the moment I have Expansive on, as I like to use this thing as a melee weapon to rack up stacks of heavy hitter before swapping to our shield, as its special attack is quick and wide sweeping. That's a good thing to note about most of the special attacks from the ranged weapons that Ogryns have, is that using their special attacks actually counts as heavy attacks, which pairs really nicely with all the talents that we've taken throughout this build. For the perks on the kickback, I recommend a Maniac damage boost and a Flak damage boost. For Curios at the moment I'm using a Health Curio and 2 Toughness Curios. And the perks that I'm running on these Curios are a mixture between combatability regen, stamina regeneration, and toughness. But there we go, that rounds out this guide to the bashing Ogryn build. I'm now going to go through a gameplay walkthrough of this build in an Auric Damnation mission. If you're not sticking around to see it, then thank you very much for watching this video, and once again if I could ask you to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel, it would really mean the world to me. But anyway, let's now get into the gameplay. It can just be here. If I go down, it's because I'm handicapped by this little thing here. Gets in my peripheral vision. And it's Christmas. I'm feeling Christmassy. Anyone else feeling Christmassy? I sure am. Alright, we've got a vet. What are they running? Plasma Boy. Here we go. Plasma vets work really well with this build. Always really nice. They can normally shoot kind of like, not around you, but if you get into a right position, you put your shield down and a plasma vet kind of swings over to the side. Oh, we got 3 plasma vets. We do. Okay. But as I was saying before, if the plasma vets can get into a good position around you and you're taunting everyone and making everyone shoot you, or at least the problematic threats, then that really helps, and that's what we want to do with this build. Is we're not looking to be the highest damage output on the field. We want to be able to take on hordes so we can take that away from our allies, but we don't want to be the sole DPS here. That's not what we're looking to do. We want to block people, we want to try and keep people alive. That's what we're trying to do. So let's do it. Yeah, 3 plasma vets. This is going to be interesting. While there's lots of gunners and stuff like that about, we don't want to be charging in here. So I might do a cheeky bull rush here. Get in there. Take through these guys, reposition. Steal. Make a push in here, they start running. We can just do this block attack. Gonna keep our shield more up. Oh, now that's a bad play. I did not hear that trapper, which is completely on me. But yes, that's one disadvantage that we do have with this build here. Yeah, trappers are probably one of our biggest things we hate with this build. We do generally kind of want to be sticking around, taking most of the aggression. Oh, dogs as well. I forget that dogs can, for some reason, break your shield. Oh, we took a lot of damage there. And just take one of these, try again. So we're gonna get into this build a little bit more. It is very strange going from quite an aggressive build to this build, where you gotta think about your pacing a little bit more, slow down a little bit, really stick with your team. You are not an aggressor, you are a defender. That's what you want to be doing. Maulers, no issues with me. We can just keep on swinging at them. Apply those bleed stacks. Do want to avoid those hits where we can, but we can kind of bash them about enough that they just keep falling over. Let the plasma vets do their job here. Let's just clear these guys. Get those bleed stacks on. Or while we keep spamming these attacks, we pretty much just have infinite toughness. A trapper there. Yep. You're dead. I did not hear that. Pox Burster. It's the bane of my life. So we've got them coming in from two angles. If I can block this angle, just kind of camp at this doorway. Let's see you. We want to take him down. He's problematic. Feel like I probably should have hit that gunner, but I didn't. See, with a plasma vet on the team, it does make it very useful, especially when they have got focus target on, because it means that whenever they tag anything, we can pretty much take down any specials in one shot with this kickback, which is very nice. So here, once again, plant the shield, retag these guys, hopefully the plasma vets, because they're going to keep on shooting me now. Plasma vets should slowly but surely take these guys out. Yep. Got another one. There we go. And that's what we want to do here. We want to be the big defender. So sometimes planting your shield like this really helps. That was a very, very bad place to do that. Because there's a trapper. Trappers are our single worst opponent with this build. We don't like them because they can, no matter how much we keep our shield up, they are always going to be taking us out of our shield, basically. So, which is a little bit annoying. I do feel like if you are planted, you should be able to defend against mostly everything, especially because you have a shield on a Psyker, and they can block that kind of thing. So it'd be nice, you know, when you're in the planted mode, you do have to just take a long time to do as well. You should be graced from getting trapped, I think. But because when we are playing difficulties like this, it just means that we become very ineffective against trapper. Let the plasma vets get everything they need here, so we've got plenty of ammo. No. Oh, I thought I got trapped by him then. I thought I pressed the wrong button. I just double shot them. Does this allow you? Probably just desync with the servers. Uh-oh. I did not mean to run across the ledge. Oh yeah, this is a very bad spot to be in now. Oh, it was the dog, the sneaky dog. I've got like a sniper on me, I've got two crushers. Ah, back up. Don't worry, sir, I'm coming with you. I got you. Gotta be careful here. Normally, yep, there's a lot of rush going on. That's fine. I'm just gonna stand back a little bit. So yeah, we're going to absolutely volley rages with this. Weird. Normally you get quite a lot spawn at the top of the... Yeah, normally you get quite a lot of spawn at the top of the stairs there, but we had nothing. Secret easy mode unlocked. So when they're just pouring enemies into the room like this, it just works well for us. We can just sit here and have some fun, basically. Just constantly doing heavy attacks and making the rewards. So yeah, there we go. That's the Ogryn build. Did pretty well there, dishing out quite a lot of damage. Doing a lot of defense, we staggered a lot of enemies, we blocked a lot of attacks, not as much as we should, but just goes to show that we can still be tanky, defensive, but offensive at the same time, and that's really kind of what we're aiming for, the sweet spot between, I don't just want to sit there, I do want to be able to play the game. And so yeah, using those heavy attacks with the shield really does well. It hits a lot of bleed damage, ticks over time. You know, you can rip through hordes with it. It feels very, very satisfying. So overall, I'm really like this build at the moment. It's a different way of playing, which I'm not quite used to at the moment. But I think as time goes by, the more I play this build, then yeah, I think it will definitely be well versed in my arsenal. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, please like this video and also consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. But otherwise, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.